The animal that nearly killed him was gone before he understood he had been hurt. It did not stop. It did not stand over him. It did not circle back. It did not do a single one of the things people picture when they imagine being attacked by something in the woods. It came out of the dark. It passed through the group at a dead run, and it was back in the brush within about 2 seconds. And for another 5 or 6 seconds after that, he was still standing on both feet, still holding his phone, telling his friends he had no idea what had just happened. He was not in pain. He did not know anything was wrong. And in that same handful of seconds, blood was leaving his body at a rate that gave him minutes, not hours. This is the story of the most underestimated dangerous animal in the United States, of why the word we use for it is the single most dangerous thing about it, and of why every rule you have ever learned about surviving a wild animal points in exactly the wrong direction when this one comes for you. Welcome to Sunk Cost. The names in this story are invented, but the danger is entirely real, drawn from the way wild hogs actually injure people across the American South every year, and from the fact that almost nobody is afraid of them. There were 4 of them, all in their early 30s, friends from Houston, on an ordinary weekend at a campground in the East Texas pine country. There was nothing ambitious about the trip. Nobody was summiting anything. They had a fire, a cooler, folding chairs, and a picnic table, and the plan for the evening was to sit around and do nothing at all. The one who led things was named Cash Renfro, 32, who worked in commercial HVAC and was the funny one of the group, the one who narrates. He was not a risk taker. He had never climbed anything, never dived anything, never been in a situation in his life that required a safety briefing. This is important because Cash Renfro was not overconfident about the wilderness. He simply did not think he was in any wilderness at all. He was at a campground with a bathroom block and a vending machine, 90 minutes from a Buc-ee's. Around dusk, the campground worker came through on his rounds, a man in his 50s named Duard Vess, who had worked that property for 9 years, and he told them the thing he told everybody, which was that they should keep their food and their trash secured because the hogs came in at night around the dumpsters. Hogs. Pigs. And that single word did more damage than anything else in this story. Here's the thing about how human beings assess danger. We do not evaluate animals from first principles. We reach for the category the name belongs to, and the whole emotional weight of that category comes with it. If Duard Vess had said the word bear, 4 adults would have felt something change in their chests, because the word bear arrives preloaded with fear that took a lifetime of documentaries and campfire stories to install. If he had said mountain lion, same thing. Rattlesnake, same thing. He said pigs. And the category that opened in 4 heads was farms, cartoons, bacon, Charlotte's Web, a pink thing in a mud puddle making a comical noise. There is no fear in that category. There has never been any fear in that category. And so a warning about a 200-pound animal with self-sharpening tusks landed as a warning about livestock getting into the garbage. They were not being arrogant. They were being human. The word did the work, and the word was wrong. So let us fix the word, because you need to know what a wild hog actually is. A mature wild boar in that part of the country can weigh well over 200 pounds, and large ones considerably more. It is not shaped like a farm pig. It is heavy in the shoulders and narrow at the hips, built like a battering ram, and across those shoulders it carries a thick plate of scar tissue and cartilage that hunters call a shield, dense enough to blunt knives and turn arrows. It can run faster than a person over the distances that matter, which is to say the first 30 feet, and it can turn on the spot. And the males carry tusks, continuously growing lower canines. And here is the detail that makes them so dangerous. The lower tusks grind against the upper ones every time the animal opens and closes its mouth, which means they are constantly self-sharpening. The animal walks around honing its own weapons all day long. There are millions of them. They are established in dozens of states. They are one of the most successful invasive species on the continent, and unlike bears or wolves, they thrive at the edges of human activity. Field margins, drainage ditches, subdivisions, campgrounds. They live where the food is, and the food is our garbage. Now here is the part that this whole video exists for, and it is the part that inverts everything. Every dangerous animal encounter you have ever been taught about involves a threat that comes at your upper body. A bear rears and strikes downward. A moose rears and stamps downward. A bison hits the torso and throws. A big cat goes for the head and neck. And so every piece of survival advice you carry is built around that geometry. Stand tall. Look big. Protect your head and neck. Get your arms up. A hog does not do any of that. A hog attacks low. It comes in fast at ground level, and it slashes with a violent sideways and upward flick of the head. And the target, by simple anatomy, is your legs. Thighs, groin, calves. It does not rear. It does not stand over you. It does not bite and hold. It runs through, cuts, and keeps going. Which means that every protective instinct a person has is aimed at a part of the body that is not being attacked. It means that looking big accomplishes nothing, because the animal is not evaluating you as a predator evaluates prey. It is removing an obstacle at speed. And it means the injury lands in the worst possible place on the human body, because the inside of the thigh is where the femoral artery runs, and a deep laceration to the femoral artery is one of the fastest ways a healthy adult can die outside of a car wreck. Not in an hour, in minutes. And then there is the last piece, the thing that makes hog attacks so uniquely confusing in the moment. The attack does not last. There is no ongoing fight to survive, no playing dead, no fending it off. There is a rush, a contact, and then the animal has gone into the brush, and the person is standing there in the dark with adrenaline flooding their system, feeling almost nothing, looking around and asking what just happened. The threat is over before the danger has even started. The one correct answer, and it is worth stating clearly because it is the opposite of the advice for almost every other animal, is to get off the ground. A hog cannot climb. Anything that puts you above ground level ends the encounter almost immediately. A tree, the bed of a truck, the roof of a car, a boulder, a picnic table. You do not stand your ground, and you do not simply run across open ground. You go up. Duard Vest told them that, more or less, in the plain way that a man says a thing he has said 400 times. Keep the food up. Don't go poking around the dumpsters after dark. There's a sow with a litter in there this week, and if one comes at you, get up on something. And Cash Renfro laughed and said the sentence that is on the recording. The sentence that is, in its way, the most understandable line anybody has ever said on this channel. He said, "Dude, they're pigs." Two things were operating in him. The first is what you might call a category error by labeling. He classified the animal by its name rather than its properties. And the name came with a package of harmless associations. And the package was so familiar that it never occurred to him to question whether it applied. The second is subtler, and it cost him seconds later that night. He had no threat template for this animal. Every one of us walks around with rough behavioral scripts for danger, installed by culture. See a bear, do the bear thing. See a snake, freeze and back away. Nobody has ever been given a hog script, because nobody makes documentaries about hogs. So when the moment came, his brain went looking for a stored procedure and found nothing at all, and the search itself takes time that a person standing in the dark does not have. After dark, they heard them. Rustling and grunting from the direction of the dumpster area at the edge of the loop, maybe 80 yards from their sight, and a couple of small shapes crossing the gravel. And Cash did what a lot of people do with a phone in their hand. He wanted the video. 3 of them walked over. The 4th, a man named Peyton Ozuna, hung back near the picnic table, and his reason was not caution, and he has been very clear about that. It was dark. It was muddy over there. The animals were in the garbage, and he thought the whole thing was gross. He is a city guy. He did not want to walk through mud towards some filthy animals to film them, so he stayed by the table with his beer. The other 3 went out with a phone light. And this is where the mechanics of the night turned against them, in a way worth understanding. A phone light in real darkness does not illuminate a scene. It creates a bright cone and destroys your night vision everywhere else, so the world outside that cone becomes blacker than it was before you turned it on. They were walking towards sounds in the dark with a spotlight that showed them a narrow tunnel and blinded them to everything else. What was in the darkness outside that cone was a sow and her litter, and the piglets were scattered. Some of them ahead of the men and some behind, which meant that within about 15 seconds of leaving the fire, 3 men were standing between a sow and part of her litter and had absolutely no idea. There were warnings. Hogs do give a signal, and it is a distinctive one. A rapid clacking or popping of the jaws, teeth grinding, which is exactly what it sounds like, an animal sharpening its weapons at you. It is a real and well-documented threat display. Cash Renfro heard it, and it did not register as a threat display because he had never heard it before and nothing in his life had labeled it. On the audio, you can hear one of them laugh at it. He took one more step forward, trying to get a piglet into frame. The sow came out of the black at full speed with no buildup whatsoever. She did not stop in front of them. She did not posture. She did not slow. She ran through the group. She hit the second man, Grady Sackett, with her shoulder and knocked him flat. And he went down hard on gravel and broke his wrist in the fall. And that was the entirety of what she did to him. She never touched him with her tusks. She passed Cash Renfro on his left side and made one sideways flick of her head as she went by. And then she was gone. Back into the brush with her piglets in under 2 seconds, total, from the first sound to silence. What followed is the part that people find hardest to believe. Cash stood there. He was upright, he was talking, he was helping Grady off the gravel, and he said more than once that he was fine, that it had knocked him, but he was fine. He felt a warmth down his leg and thought it was mud. He was full of adrenaline, and it was dark, and the wound was on the inside of his thigh where he could not see it. And it was not until Grady's phone light swung across him that anyone understood what they were looking at. A hog tusk does not puncture. It slices. The wound was a long, clean opening along the inner thigh, and it had gone deep enough to reach what runs there. Peyton Ozuna, back at the picnic table, had heard the noise and done the one thing that has to be said plainly, because it is the correct thing, and it looks like cowardice. When he heard something crashing in the dark, he got up on the table. He did not run into the dark to help. He got his feet off the ground, which is exactly what Duardves had told them to do and what Peyton had not been listening to. And he did it because he is a city person, and his instinct at a charging animal in the dark was to get up on furniture. And then, when they came back into the firelight and he saw Cash's leg, Peyton did the thing that actually saved a life. And he did it because he is a person who watches videos about things. He got Cash on the ground, he got the leg up, and he pressed both hands directly into the wound with his whole weight behind them and did not let go. And he sent Grady, broken wrist and all, running for the camp host. That is the correct answer. Direct pressure, hard, immediately, and do not leave the person to go find help alone if there is anyone else who can go instead. A femoral bleed does not wait for anyone. Duardves arrived within about 4 minutes with a proper trauma kit, which he had because he had been dealing with hogs for 9 years, and he got a tourniquet high on the thigh and cranked it down. Ambulance out of the nearest town, then a transfer, then surgery. Cash Renfro survived. He lost a very significant volume of blood, and he was, by the honest assessment of the surgeon, close to the edge of not surviving. The repair to the vessel worked. The damage to the muscle and to the nerve did not fully repair, and he has permanent weakness in that leg, a limp that comes back when he is tired, and a scar that runs a length he does not like to describe. Grady Sackett had surgery on his wrist. Peyton Ozuna, who got on the table, was untouched. The phone was found in the grass the next morning, still recording, having filmed nothing but darkness and grass for a long time. On the audio, there is a man laughing, saying the word pigs, and then about 7 seconds of noise, and then a lot of confusion. What is on that recording is not a wild animal attack the way anybody imagines one. It is quick and it is dull, and it is over almost before it registers. There is nothing rare about any of this. Wild hogs injure people across the southern United States regularly. They kill occasionally, and the pattern is consistent. An encounter at night, near food or garbage, often a sow with a litter, and almost always a person who did not think of themselves as being in the presence of a dangerous animal at all. Nobody walks into a hog encounter with their guard up, because there is no cultural fear to put it up. The fear budget for the American outdoors was allocated to bears and sharks a long time ago, and the animal actually opening people's legs in East Texas got nothing. Peyton Ozuna finds it uncomfortable when people call him the one who did everything right. He points out, correctly, that he stayed by the fire because he did not want to walk through mud, and that he climbed on a table because he is squeamish about animals in the dark, and that neither of those is a safety decision. What he did do right was afterward, and he says that was not bravery either. It was just knowing that you press on a bleed and you press hard. Duardves still works that campground. He still walks the loop at dusk, telling people to secure their food and stay away from the dumpster after dark, and he has changed exactly one thing about how he says it. He does not say pigs anymore. He says boar, or he says hog, and then he describes the tusks, because he figured out years ago that the word was doing his job in reverse. When people ask him why he makes such a production out of it, he tells them the thing he has watched come true more times than he wants to count. Everybody out here is scared of bears, he says, and we do not have bears. We have hogs, and nobody is scared of a hog, and that is exactly why I keep patching up legs. The animal does not care what you call it.